Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, comrades, and connections, social media friends. This is Jim Sastry speaking from Hyderabad. I'll be reading out an email update from IEP, Institute for the Economics and Peace. It will be talking about future trends that are tracking tomorrow's trends today. Brought to you by IEP, Institute for Economics and Peace, examining the latest stories shaping tomorrow's international dynamics. This week, Modi's BJP win one of the India's toughest political frontiers, which is West Bengal. Palestinians in Gaza, West Bengal hold local elections for the first time since 2006. Jihadists united front as Russian troops help Mali junta. Hezbollah impacted in casualties and politics. China ends African tariffs for all but Iswani. Libya, Argentina, Tunisia sign agreements to share Sahara aquifer water. Middle East area output halved since the start of Iran conflict. Pivot to Africa for sea routes. Court says a displacement is no excuse for fringes. Global press freedom falls to lowest level in the 25 years. I'll be reading out reading my aspects. Mexico seeks evidence of US charges against Sinaloa governor. President Sheinbaum said the US must provide irrefutable evidence like linking the Sinaloa province sitting governor Ruben Rocha Moya, a member of our Morena party, and 9 others took drug cartels before proceedings with the extradition. The evidence, she added, must be in accordance with the Mexican law. Palestinians in Gaza and West Bank hold local elections in front of first time since 2006. Deir El Balan was given the opportunity to hold municipal elections because its infrastructure was less damaged than that of other Gaza cities during the war. 23% was lower than in the West Bank's municipal elections, 53%. With the Elections Commission citing outdated registry records which included dead and displaced people, call for Europe to strengthen its defense if US removes troops. A planned with drawdown of 5,000 US troops from Germany should spur Europe to strengthen its own way defects. German Defense Minister Pistorius said, but two top US Republican lawmakers expressed concern, saying the troops should not leave Europe. Pentagon announced the drawdown from Germany, its largest European base, as it arrived over the Iran war and the tariff tensions placed further strain on relations between US and Europe. Modi's BJP victorious in one of India's toughest political frontiers. With more than 100 million people, West Bengal's electorate is larger than Germany's. BJP's victory in a state of post-state there is among the most significant of Modi's 12-year reign, defeating a three-term incumbent to complete the party's position to resist in India and Kerala. Congress-led United Democratic Front defeated the Left Democratic Front (LDF), ending the last remaining communist-led state government in India. Austria, Alberta separatist group to declare referendum voting in on leaving Canada. They have formally committed more than 3 lakh signatures in a push for referendum. A yes vote would not trigger independence automatically for the Isle province, as negotiations with the federal government would have to take place. Prefer to listen, get the audio. US war in Iran has cost 25 billion so far. A Pentagon official provided the first official estimate of the military cost for the conflict. Most of that money was for munitions. Israeli maps outline expanded zone of military control in Gaza. New maps of Gaza quietly issued by Israel a little more than a month ago have put thousands of displaced Palestinians inside an explored restricted area. Within boundaries, the military says it can continue to change. The restricted area marked on the maps with the average land makes up an estimated 11% of Gaza's territory beyond the yellow line, demarcating the part of Gaza occupied by Israeli troops since an October ceasefire. The areas cordon off nearly two-thirds of Gaza's territory in total. Hezbollah impacted and casualties and politics. Since Hezbollah initiated the latest war with Israel on March 2nd, Israel has occupied parts of southern Lebanon, displaced hundreds of thousands of Hezbollah's Shiite Muslim constituents and killed several thousands of fighters, according to casual estimates from within the group. The move has brought several political consequences as opposition has hardened to its status as an armed group which domestic rivals. CS exposing Lebanon to repeated wars with Israel. Pakistan's Navy to add advanced Chinese submarines. The move to Washington, Islamabad's maritime security is part of a growing defense cooperation with Beijing. The sub-Saharan, in addition to Chinese-made J-10C fighter jets, which were war tested for the first time during last year's Pakistan-India conflict. Jihadist United Front has Russian groups help Mali Junta. The call for a broad uprising against the country's military rules is escalating. Tensions following coordinated action junta position and the start of a blockade on key roads into the capital Bamako. Russia said its forces would stay in Mali to help the government battle the insurgents. He is open to OPEC's third biggest oil exporter. Crude oil exports in millions of barrels per day. 2025, Saudi Arabia 6.43, Iraq to 3.26, UAE 2.88, Iran 1.67, Nigeria 1.4, Kuwait 1.33, Libya 1.21, Venezuela 0.7, Algeria 0.48, Congo 0.25, Gabon 0.21, Equatorial Guinea 0.05. Source OPEC Annual Statistical Bulletin 2026, BBC. OPEC countries agrees to moderate the rise in production. The move follows addition by the United Emirates to leave the OPEC oil cartel, shaking up the 65-year-old alliance that produces 40% of world's crude oil and exerts major influence over the price of energy. The 7 countries, including Saudi Arabia, Russia, Algeria, Iraq, Kazakhstan, Kuwait, and Oman, agreed to raise production by 188,000 barrels per day, a mostly symbolic move with the disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, taking millions of barrels a day of the global market. World's rice supply threatened. Today's rice supply is expected to fall this year as farmers got planning acreage across Asia because of fertilizer shortages and rising fuel costs from the Iran war. With an emergency El Nino unset to squeeze the output of the world's most continued staple. Rice is central to global food security, and even more supply disruptions can ripple through countries, lifting prices and strained household budgets, particularly among price-sensitive consumers in Asia and Africa. Pivotal to Africa for sea routes, the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, as well as the tensions in the Red Sea, are reshaping trade routes, with Africa becoming a hub of global container ship traffic. Saudi port of Jeddah on the Red Canal. Cargo then leaves by truck along with the desert highway to deliver to places such as Sharjah, Bahrain, Kuwait, which have not been served by sea for the past 2 months. Middle East area output halved since the start of the conflict. This is continuing to disrupt fertilizer flows from the region and threatening to global food inflation. The effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz has choked shipments of urea, a key component in nitrogen fertilizers, leaving large volumes stranded in the Gulf and tightening supplies for farmers worldwide. Iranian drone attacks on nations, including Qatar and Bahrain, have damaged energy and industrial infrastructure, hindering production of the chemical itself by around 60%. China ends African tariffs for all but Iswani. The policy row covers 53 African countries except Iswani, which maintains ties with Taiwan and will be in place until 2008. China's exports to Africa far exceed African exports to China, and that imbalance is widening last year. Africa's trade deficit with China rose by 65% to about 102 billion dollars. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll be reading the rest of the newsletter in the second hour.